Over to YouTube and we can get started.
So, hello, I'm Dafina Smith. I'm founder and CEO of Coveted Maine, and I am here today to talk all things coveted tape.
Over to YouTube and we can get started.
Okay.
So,
Can you guys hear me okay?
yes.
Okay. So, Coveted Tape has been out on the market now for about a little over 2 months. And, we had been working on it for a very long time as a brand, working with stylists behind the chair. And we were really, what we wanted to talk about was the idea of having a product that offered the same type of hand-tied installation. Very flat, seamless results, gives you a lot of volume, versatility, a lot of impact in the same way that hand-tied is. And I think people have loved it so far. But what's been really fun is that since it's been out on the market now, a lot of people are also, and what we love about the product as well, is kind of adding their own spin on it. So I wanted to first today kind of talk about some of the really fun innovations that we've seen people do with our tape that isn't necessarily installing it, in that hand-tied way, but still can work with great, with hand-tied wefts, and just giving some thoughts and planting some seeds with that. And then secondly, I wanted to talk about today just some tips and tricks that we've learned, things that are super important. I think it's really great when you launch something, you think as a brand you have it all figured out, but a lot of some of the questions that come up, troubleshooting, some hacks, those get revealed to you in time. And so we want to keep having these conversations. And then also just be able to address in a more like one-to-many way some of the questions that have come into us about coveted tape that I thought would be helpful to you around pricing, longevity, is it available in different textures, etc. And then finally, I want to talk about a lot of the newer resources that we have launched since we launched Coveted Tape, which is our online certification course that is really, it's honestly amazing. We work with Tori Elise, and that is available. People have been finding it super helpful, fast, very detailed though. And also we have our tape tour. So I'm going to announce at the end of it who is going to be our co-host of our LA event that we're really excited about. So I'll talk about all of those things. And at the same time, for those of us who are joining live, so we have, I want to thank you, Madison and Rebecca and Sarah and Sonia. Please, like, if you don't have to turn on your camera, but if you want to jump in with questions, if you want to leave them in the chat, I really want to make this not just like me speaking to you. So please interrupt me with questions. Please, if I'm not answering a question in the way that you wanted to know, let me know. Like, let's make this be interactive if you feel so. If not, I can talk to a wall. Don't worry. But if you, however you want to engage, let me know. So let's start with coveted tape. Why do we do it? We did it because I love hand-tied extensions. They're super flat. They are really great, but there's a lot of stylists that we work with who work on sets, who work on press tours, who work on during fashion shows or work with a lot of celebrities. And for them, their clients cannot have hand-tied, like permanent extensions in, because the roles that they are cast for sometimes are just the nature of, even like when you have a model, a lot of times agencies won't let you have truly permanent extensions in. You need to be able to have more flexibility. So a lot of times we found it was harder to work with them, and we wanted to find a solution for celebrities who wanted something more than like a clip-in where you have to, you have to take it out all the time. It's hard to sleep in. You don't get that like long-termness, but they wanted the results of that hand-tied seamlessness. Everybody's seeing their feet flooded with it for the last couple of years. So the coveted tape was kind of a 1.5 year process of trying something. Was it dense enough? Was it not dense enough? What type of backing do we have the tape on? I thought the things that I thought were important to land on was that you would be able to get up to the root and color it if you need, not having that shiny band there. Not having a bunch of pieces here and there, because sometimes like those slip, having tape all over your hair makes it really hard to like put it in a sleek ponytail, or it grows out unevenly, or it catches on a lot of things. So that was really important. And really that big shiny band, not having that was super important. And then the other thing was getting that density right so that you could sandwich it underneath and really get that like seamless high pony look. So that's what we worked on. And so the end result was you got in a package, you got one left each, so you can kind of mix and match. Trying to see if I have one that isn't on a mannequin head nearby, to kind of show you what you actually get. The reason why we did one west is that, of course, I don't have it. In a way, I have something else I can show you, but it's one weft, 50 grams. You sandwich them together, you get 100 grams. You put that in as one row. It's 11.5 inches wide, just like our hand tied. But the reason why I wanted one is so that if you wanted to put a low light underneath and like a more of a brighter pop on top, or if you wanted to put something more, you know, like an Amalfi underneath and then have it rooted just only on top, you could, because that is one thing that I think stylists love with hand tied, is the ability to kind of mix and match and get that really dimensional transformation. So this is how, when you order it, it comes like this. Fun fact, one thing that we've learned in shipping it, we had to make sure that we kept the tape really like firm in there, so we didn't want it moving around in the bag. So what we did when you pack it, it kind of comes and we wrap it around so that the bag doesn't take up a lot of dimension. But you just need to be prepared that it will kind of arrive and you'll be like, I didn't order wavy hair. You will need to just kind of like release some of the kink. You can mist it down with water. It doesn't need to be fully wet, but it does kind of arrive that way. It's not a wavy product. So that's why we did it. And we started working with Brittany Ryan, who did a great press tour for Jessica Alba. And it was like 3 weeks, so many different cities for a project that she had. And that kind of reflects a lot of the time when pro stylists have to go on tour. It's not just like a one night event. They might have a couple of different events, or they're going to different media markets around the country. And so they need something that can give them versatility, but that they're not having to take in and take out, that's comfortable to sleep in, and that you wake up and you kind of forget that you have it. And Coveted Tape really like landed all of those things. And then the next part of it was just really convincing a lot of stylists, ourselves as a brand as well, who were just like not into tape. So we didn't want to go with people who were like, I love tape, I die by tape, and this is, okay, of course you're going to like the Coveted Tape. I think the most important part was getting people who, such as Tori, who weren't really into tape and extensions. I think a lot of it was the removal was super messy. It was like really like, I don't know, congealed, and it would leave a lot of residue on the client's hair. And it just wasn't a great experience, I think, for a lot of people, if I'm being super honest. So that was the next stage of the Coveted Tape, was really landing the removal process. So we have the remover, it's amazing. It really just, the hair is left with no residue on it. It doesn't matter if it's been in for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, it just releases the extensions. The tape is left to stay on the hair, not stay on the hair extensions, not the client's hair. So you put a little bit on and it just comes right out. But then we also use this, which is a microfiber pad. I don't know if you can tell, but you can kind of see it's like super soft and it absorbs by being a microfiber when you do the removal. By putting it underneath here, it really protects me and the client's hair, only the part that you want to have get the removal on is going to get it, because any residual drip is gonna go onto this pad, not onto the client's hair. So that was super important. And then just testing the longevity, the reusability, how fast does a tape come in? How fast does a tape come off when you're doing a removal? Does it dry? Can you reapply it? How does it take color? All of those things. And so that's when we came to market, that's what we wanted to do. So now it's been out for a while. And what's been fun is we were really big on like, do it like hand tied. And what a lot of people found is that they really loved, they're like, well, why would I do it like hand tied? My client already loves her hand tied, but what she doesn't love is those space framing creases. Or being able to do something just like a little bit more towards the nape of the neck. A lot of you guys have done some really great content showing us just by doing it with single-sided tape. It just allows a really flat, seamless way to fill in towards the front and kind of installing it diagonally and giving it just this really gorgeous thing, whether to even to cut into your layers. It's been really fun to see that a lot of people are doing this for bridal parties and weddings and seasons like that for the full install. But a lot of people are also just loving how flat it is and how they can get it and kind of mix it with other methods. So that was something that when we came to market, we were really wanting to talk about the full install with it, which a lot of people are still doing it. But people instead are, you know, doing what stylists do best and innovating and experimenting. So that's been really fun. I'm going to stop a little bit and talk. I want to answer some of these questions in here. Okay. So Sarah has a few questions that I love. So her first question is, my 2-row clients that I want to convert into tape, how is the density compared to cut point? And are still doing 2 rows for weft sandwiched? And I just want to make sure I'm understanding. So I order enough hair and are the tapes cut point? So you asked a couple of questions in there. They're all great. And I'm going to address. So I would say for you, if you do the conversion, if you do, I'm doing public math here, so help me out. But okay, if you do a 2-row, it sounds like you're doing 8 wefts of hair. I'm going to work off of 18. And you can feel free to like join for sound too if you want to talk this through. Totally fine. So you're doing 18, which is 120 grams with cut point weft. So with this, it's actually 50 grams per weft. So, and if you sandwich it now with 1 row, so when you buy it like this, you get 1 row. But this would be single, like you'd have to do single-sided tape just to have these 50 grams. So what people are doing instead, you're buying this, and then let's say you want to buy like, it looks like Milan. Let's say you want to do a Dubai or a Cape Town underneath. So now you have 2 and you sandwich together to make 1 row. On that 1 row, you have 100 grams. So it's a lot more hair than you would normally have in 1 row of hand tied. So what I have found is what most people are doing. You're going to buy 3 wefts for a full, to kind of get the same full effect of a hand tied. You do 1 full sandwiched row, which is going to give you 120. It's going to give you 100 grams. Then you're going to take the second row of like your face framing, like your lighter color, and you're going to do basically like a diagonal face frame here and 1 over here. And you might even, if you wanted to like fill in the line closer to the assistal bone, you can. So, and that would be within this 1 weft. You would cut it up. You could either sandwich it if you want really full density, or you could do single-sided tape and just have it so that it's not so heavy towards the front. You might still have some hair left over from that 3rd piece.
Perfect.
So,
thank you so much.
is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that is how you would approach pricing. So I think when you're getting started, just like as a tip, when you're getting started and coveted tape, what I would do is I would over order by 1 weft. so that you slowly can build and use that, like I would say, that color that you always use. Like I can tell you, if you do blondes, always just order an extra of like Bondi blonde. If you don't want to root it and you like to root it yourself, then do Amalfi. If you do a lot of brunettes, then I would do like a Southampton or a London, something that you all like. I always use this. I always use like a little piece of it. Order one more of those. You may not use it on the full client, but you can proportionately charge them, because if you look at it, if you measure it and you determine how much you cut, you can charge them if you do mark up the hair when you're getting started, just to kind of give yourself some wiggle room so you're not like, oh, I wish I had just a little bit more hair in there.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And then the second question that you had was, are the tape wefts cut point? So they are not cut point hair. They are actually even better than that. Not to say better than that, but cut point wefts are hand tied. Hair extensions are still to this day my favorite thing. But they're hand woven, and then at the end they have these two cut points. So if you do need to cut them, you would only cut around those, no further in than that last cut. You can't cut point hand tied hair anywhere, or it will unravel if you cut beyond that, like that furthest cut point. So it really just gives you like an inch flexibility. This is made with like basically, and why we called it coveted, because it's like our coveted weft, which is similar to a lot of brands like Genius Weft. It's a hybrid weft, right? That gives you the ability though to cut it anywhere. I feel like though this is honestly how it's different. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, than coveted weft, is that because of the way the backing is on a more of a traditional polyurethane tape base, you don't get that shininess. So it looks just like a cut point weft, but unlike a cut point weft, you can cut this anywhere. So that's why people have been doing like, okay, I'm just gonna cut this here and lay, you know, one or two there. You can cut this if you like to just strategically use tape. It's great and it's super durable when you cut it. So it's kind of like the best of all worlds. And the other thing, it's made with Covet in Maine. It's still made with like truly double drawn hair, thick from root to tip. It's still the gorgeous colors. It's same quality. It's honestly, it's really gorgeous quality hair for tapes. I feel like in a lot of brands, sometimes they don't offer, they maybe step down a little bit in quality in what they offer in a tape or a clip-in than they would with a more like long-term. But because, I mean, one, we're Covet in Maine, we don't do that. Two, this is super durable of a tape, so you can reuse this. You want to make sure your client is taking care of the actual hair on it, lots of moisture, lots of heat protectant, not too many oils, not too much product buildup will help the longevity. But you can, you know, once it's in, reinstall it, you know, up to 9 months. Start with 9 months. We have, you know, some people, you have some of those clients who are your people who can go a year. Their hair is usually darker. You usually know who they are. So, okay. Sarah is coming in with all the good questions. I love this. So I'm going to interrupt for a second. So her other question is, I ordered a new coloring and the coveted tape colors are on there. Yes, they are on there. We have a more limited, we started with more limited palette of coveted tape. We're kind of making sure that, you know, that we're all excited about it and will grow to expand. We've had a lot of requests for reds in coveted tape. So I do believe that that will be one of the first colors we expand to. We just expanded to a newer color for us, which is London, is now available in coveted tape as well. So we'll slowly be expanding this, but we did those, our palette that we came to market with really should be able to serve you. You should be able to serve like 90 to 95% of your clientele. Even if you do work with reds, what's great about this is because you get that exposure all the way up to here, you can color and tone and, you know, amplify to red if you needed to with like an Amalfi. or even a Milan, a lot of times takes, you can let the highlights really, like it will really grab onto those reds gorgeously. So, time frames for move up. So let's talk about, like, I'm going to incorporate some of the questions coming in. Please, I love questions. So like, also, if you have problems, if you need help troubleshooting, like throw them in the chat. This is what this is here for. So a couple of things that have come out now that it's, you know, best laid plans, people get stuff, you put it on the market and you're like, oh, we didn't think to tell you that, but we thought that was, you know, kind of common sense. Sorry, I'm wearing these new lashes. They feel very weird. They're not, it just feels weird. Okay, so a couple of things that have come out. One, you must use the tape press when you're applying it. So we sell this really great kit that it comes with. It has all the clips, it has a comb, but the most important thing that it has is this tape press. You will put this on and you'll be like, this is good, we're good to go. And you're so excited, you're like, let's cut, let's take pictures. No, you're still need to go back in and go through every section and get as close to the root line as you can. You need to go in and seal this and give it like 3 love taps for every single piece. What is that doing? That's curing the tape. It's pressing out all of the air bubbles and air pockets that are in there from the client, and it's really an essential step. That is the only time that you will get slippage. Well, it's not the only time. I'll tell you the other time is if you don't use this. The second, if you are used to doing another thing that has come up, you need to start with a clean foundation. So if you have clients who come into you and they're like, oh, don't worry, I cleansed. Their version of a cleanse might be very different than yours. I still think that you should give a professional cleanse with a really good balancing shampoo to make sure that you're not dealing with a bunch of hair that has a lot of oil buildup or product buildup. Like just give yourself, like set yourself up for success and do a really good cleansing, balancing shampoo. A lot of you work with Oribe, Care Sauce. Reach out to us. We can let you know which products we recommend. I have been working with, I really like Mr. Smith's balancing shampoo. It just smells amazing and it balances and it cleanses without stripping. But do that. Give yourself that gift. Don't leave it to your clients to cleanse and come in and install. The second is if you're getting ready to prep, do not use heavy products only on the area where you're putting in at that base. And you should not honestly be putting a lot of conditioners or so much leave-in at the scalp line anyway. It's really, this is how much of the width you're talking about, like less than a half an inch of the drop down section that you have to avoid product on. You really should be putting like your leave-ins and your other product towards the mid shaft to the end. So make sure you do that. And then the other thing that has come up is that like, if you're really, used to hand tied, you are used to being, a lot of people will put it in and then they'll color it with the client's hair, wash it, style it together. You can't do that with this. Once you put this tape on the client's hair, the client cannot wash their hair for at least 36 hours. Some people will say 24. I'm like, why? Who goes to get their hair done and then washes it the next day? Like, give yourself the gift of a good blowout and fresh color. And so also just talk to your clients about like whether maybe when you have them in the chair, you set the alarm or you do a calendar invite for what 36 hours actually is. Because sometimes they forget. Like they're just like, oh, I just forgot I go to the, like they're just stuck in washing their hair daily. Also for your daily girls who wash their hair, you're going to have to manage their expectations. They should not be using a really like oil, super rich, super moisturizing shampoo, not on their hair. Like the extensions aren't all over their head, so it's not a big deal, but just here where this is, they just want to be really gentle up here, get the wash and, you know, and not, you don't want to see a bunch of this with the super oily, crazy shampoo and you're doing it every day. And then they come back to you in 3 weeks. Yeah, it's not going to be, it's going to slip a little bit. So it's still, you know, it feels like it's not going anywhere when it's on there. I woke up the next day, like I forgot that I had it in. So you almost, it is so lightweight that it is a shift. It's unlike hand tied in that way. It's very forgettable to is you almost forget that you have the extensions in. So you almost have to just remind them, like still be gentle. It feels super secure. So you need those 36 hours to let it cure. If you have a daily shampoo wash, you need to manage their expectations going in to be like, look, if you could go every 3 days and maybe use a dry shampoo, or they even now have these really great like cream to dry shampoos. I really love. Aranco has one that I love. If you don't want like a chalky buildup at the scalp, or fun option for your client as well. Go ahead, if you love washing your hair daily, pull away your tape row and wash everything else. Just kind of like pin it away, do your wash underneath and do your top wash, or just teach them how to do a top wash every other day, and that will help extend. So those are just some of the things I would say. The biggest things that came up was like one person didn't realize that like you couldn't put it in and then custom color the hair and wash it and shampoo it after. If you are going to color it, you need to do it off the head, or have them come back in, but it needs to cure for 36 hours to get that really good hold. And this is going to be your best friend. No matter how secure it feels, just kind of bake that in of 3 little love taps across. So, Kyra, I'm so excited about your question because this is a nice segue into my next section I was going to talk about, which is education resources. Also, I was going to mention to you guys that if you have more questions, put them in the chat because I'm loving all of these. So we do have what we didn't have before when we first launched is we have a great course. So we have a couple of options. I'm trying to pull up the link to it for the class that we have. Katina, actually, so that I'm not like digging around, can you put the link in the chat to the landing page that we have for Tori Elise?
Yes,
So we have a digital certification course that is done with Tori Elise. She was an instrumental person that we work with. She was one of those people who was like, look, I don't do tape because of X, Y, and Z. And we're like, we hear you, try it. And she really was super helpful in kind of overcoming, and she's really speaking from personal experience. When she does a class, she's really thorough. I really enjoyed her class. So it's a step-by-step, it's digital. There's a certification that comes with it as well. And Katina just put the link to it there. And then we will also have, which is next, is our Coveted Tape Tours. So we did one in New York, our kickoff last month with Graham Nation. He was also super instrumental in working with our Coveted Tape. And we are doing our next stop on our tour in LA on August 12th. You can come, it's going to be at the One Hotel, and we are co-hosting with Laura Gigetti, and I'm super excited because she's a huge celebrity stylist. She's based out of Calabasas, but she worked with so many great, amazing celebrities, and she's gonna come, and we have a really amazing rooftop suite there. We're gonna show you all of the little tips and tricks that she learned. It's really fun when you see celebrity stylists kind of see how they do stuff. I feel like I always say that they tend to be the like MacGyver of hair extensions. Like for instance, when we worked with Ash for the Met Gala with Justine Marjan, she did Ashley Graham's hair. And so we, you kind of expect like maybe she'll do like long waves or whatever. And instead she did a really awesome, she took the tape and she placed it across her hairline and did these really awesome like bangs with it. And so we'll be kind of showing for session stylists, we'll have a session just kind of showing you more LA style editorial, like celeb driven looks. And then we'll also have for, more behind the chair stylists, we'll also show just like those gorgeous transformations that your day-to-day clients are gonna love. So we have that August 12th at the One Hotel in LA with Laura Rigetti, and who will be our co-host. And then starting in October, every Monday in October, we'll be in Atlanta, Nashville, Miami, and Chicago. We'll have the exact dates. We're lining up some really exciting co-hosts for those events. And our goal is with every, and we'll also have a Dallas event as well too. Our goal is with every city is to have it really reflect the vibe of the city. So it's like something where if you wanted to go to every single stop on the tape tour, you could. It'd be very different. You would get something very different out of each class. So that's kind of the goal. If you want to just, if you like having that in-person personal touch, we'll have those. And then we will also have just ongoing classes at our academy in New York City once we get past the tape tour. But the great thing about them, I've watched and I've taught one of the digital courses too. It's really, there's a learning curve with this, but it's nothing like a good friend or a good sister who's willing to be a model can't teach you. If you're a stylist, it's a lot of the challenge is just blending and coloring and matching in your artistry versus the installation for this. And then, yeah, so that's the education for it. Any other questions about the education or how to apply it? I'm gonna answer some of the other questions, but if there's more about like how do you learn, etc. So the wefts come pre-taped. It comes with, and we worked with this amazing tape manufacturer. They're new. They're not new, like never made tape before, but they were really excited about this project. They were amazing to work with. So that's how we really got like, wanted to get the best in class tape because the hair is already best in class, but we needed something where it's like, does it work with the humidity of Miami? Does it work for athletes? Like we've had, someone who's an Orange Theory instructor, marathoner, also like she's like a superwoman, has a full-time job. She got hers put in, ran a half marathon that weekend. We've had them in someone who plays for the Mercury. Like we want our extensions to meet the type of women who we work with, their active, busy lives. We want our extensions to meet them where they are. So we knew that the tape had to last when you wanted it to last, but then come off without like pulling and damaging on your hair. That was super important for me. Like when I put mine in, it came right out. Like I never, you know, no feeling of like, oh, it's a little thinner, or oh, it feels a little weird. I actually don't have any extensions in right now, but I have been in and out of the coveted tape. They go in, they stay as long as I want. In terms of longevity, I would say for anything new on the market, I just think it's important for you to touch base with your client. So I would say like, let's have you come in 4 weeks. If you know your client is that person who's just like always picking at stuff or just, maybe doesn't last as long as other ones, maybe you say like, why don't you come in for a 2-week thing and I'll just give you a fresh blowout. We'll see just a little touch base, but these will definitely last. It's not a question of how long they'll last. I think it's just important to make sure you're staying ahead of any slippage or, anything like that. But we mostly found 4 to 6 weeks is kind of that sweet spot. And I think after 6 weeks, it's just kind of like, come on, let's redo this. You might have somebody who's like, look, I'm going on vacation, and like, okay, go at your own risk, keep them in, and then we'll take them out. So it could go to 8 weeks, but I just wouldn't. I think when something's new to the market, you want everybody to be set up for success, manage people's expectations, not try to like stretch things too far. And I found that that's been really the great sweet spot. For the pricing recommendation, a lot of the things that are going to go into the pricing. So your first install is going to take more time because you do placement, you have to cut and blend. And so I think for that first appointment, you should build up a little bit more of your markup. So if you are someone who does like a parts and labor, like you should have like the markup of the hair, I would say for something like this is 2x the hair minimum, but as a brand, we can't dictate. A lot of the things that go into it though are how well you're educating your client, the market that you're in, the market that you're in. Like, are you in a more affluent area? Like, you have to price accordingly to where you are, but also don't let that dictate it too much either, because I think a lot of some of our best performing salons, they don't care where they are. They're like, we're giving you, like, when you walk in our doors, the experience is amazing. And so they don't let, like, oh, I'm in, you know, Indiana, dictate the fact that they tend to charge, you know, on par, if not more, with like a New York salon, but I think they give just as amazing results, if not better. So that's one thing that goes into it. And then making sure, like, if you're cutting it, that you're adding that on. If you're doing any coloring, you're adding it on. And then if you have any like booster services, like a scalp detox or, you know, a treatment post removal, just to kind of like restore moisture at the roots or something like that, or a steam treatment, though, just making sure that you're like building up that package. And then you'll find that really where you will make more of your money is on those like rebooks, because those appointments now are going to be much faster. They're coming in, the removal. We have service protocols for this as well, where we kind of walk out minute by minute, you know, what you should be aiming for in terms of the time frame of the appointment. But this remover, after you've been doing it for at least a month or two, should not be taking you longer than 5 minutes. So you're removing it in 5 minutes. You're giving it to your assistant to wash, clean. You're going to remove the tape off of it, reinstall the tape with the tape rolls that we have. Wash, cleanse the hair first, then put on this. You don't want to retape and then wash and cleanse. And then you're just really just blowing out the client's hair and reinstalling and just reblending. So you'll really make more money on the rebooks. So you also want to make sure that your pricing isn't too steep, to kind of understand that this is something that like people really love, and it's super flat, and like there's no return hair, there's no bumps. It's like they forget that they have it, and they tend to like something when they get it in. They fall in love with it when you take it out, and they realize that there's like this is not your typical tape. Like, so there's that. I hope I didn't go on and on about that too much. Can you stream with the tapes? I don't know what you mean by stream, but I'm gonna assume steam. So I wouldn't steam with the tapes. I would do it after you take it out. So and I don't know if you mean like steam in a steam room or steam, like a steam treatment. I wouldn't do a steam treatment. I'm trying to think if I had one with them in. I wouldn't. Oh, under a steamer. I don't know if I would do that. TBD. I'll be the guinea pig and get back to you, Kyra, on it. I think the steam honestly really shouldn't affect it, because that's not the thing that's breaking it down. It's not anything like occlusive, or like the things that you do want to stay away from, or anything with a lot of citrus oil in it. Anything with citrus, so citric acid, grapefruit extract, orange blossom extract, any of those like pretty words for things that are like citric based are going to kind of eat away at the adhesive. So those are bad. But questions like that for the steamer, I don't think it should be an issue, but I would say test it, like what you'd want to do maybe after you do the steam treatment and you take them out before you like rinse out the treatment. What I might do is hit it with the tape press again, just to like reseal that and then wash it. And maybe try that on a client first that is forgiving. But I mean, at the end of the day, as I said, the worst thing that happens with this is that you have to remove it in 5 minutes and you retape it. It's not something where you're having to like, you know, hours of undoing. Nobody wants to do that, but just that's how I would handle that. And you also asked, and this is another great question, if you're doing a moisture treatment before a move up to restore hair, are we still not touching the roots? Yeah, I would say if you're doing a moisture treatment, before a move up, so you have no extensions in. I would just be mindful of like, okay, well, if I'm gonna install the hair here, just for this area of the moisture treatment, I'm going to drop down where I place the actual treatment. I'm just gonna drop it down, even like, I'm just not gonna apply it to the scalp and massage it in that area. And a lot of times when I get, I don't know, it's weird, because like when I do a lot of treatments for stuff like that, I tend to pre-treat. I know it's weird, but then I still do a really good shampoo, and then I just do a really lightweight conditioner, because sometimes it weighs down my hair too much if I do too much of a treatment right after a shampoo and just rinse it out. It really, I have like coarse hair, but it's very fine. I think you'll know your client, but I would say, set yourself up for success, accommodate it a little bit, by just not putting it right on that root line. And then, and I would love to hear from you if any of you guys who are doing these steam treatments, scalp treatments, moisture, like what was your experience? I think that's what's so great about being a more of an intimate brand, is that we can like share these learnings. And then for people who sweat, do recommend blow dry after sweat. You can use dry shampoo on the tape as well. I think you could use something. You don't always have to, if you sweat, it hasn't been an issue. As I said, we had somebody who ran a half marathon. She works out all the time. She's a fitness instructor. We've had people who play as a WNBA player, like they are professionally sweating. It hasn't been an issue. I think that there's a lot of the like micellar waters, or a lot of like shampoo-less type of serums, stuff like that. They haven't aggravated, or just kind of even like just kind of top washing everywhere else and just being a little gentle there, but it hasn't been an issue. And you can use dry shampoo on the tape at the base of it if you want, as well. I would just be mindful of product buildup, just dry shampoo and like clogging the scalp and stuff like that. Maybe they pour it, like spray it on their hands and then just like rub a little bit more than just like, I've found selling hair for a very long time. You tell your client a dime size, they do a golf ball. It's just been my experience. So I think it's always like pull back what you tell the client and assume that they're not going to listen to you. Maybe you send them this YouTube live later to be like, just please be gentle. But I would say whatever you tell them to do, just like tell them the 10% version of it, because I think sometimes clients seem to think more is more, which is not the case in hair extension. So yeah, so I am going to start wrapping this up. If you have any additional questions, please drop them in now. If not, this is really fun for me, and I hope to see you guys on any of our stops of our Coveted Tape Tour, or if you feel so inclined, the link is here to trying to see if there is a way to, I think the best way, just for people who aren't on Zoom, if you're interested in the Coveted Tape certification, one, it just reminds me, my marketing team, we need to get like a bit.ly or something, but it's covetedmain.com/the Coveted Tape /education. Or if you're like me, just Google the Coveted Tape certification, and that page will come up. That's what I did before this, and it'll come up. And as I said, we are doing August 12th, LA, the One Hotel. Email us for more details. And we also have on our page, if you go to our home page of covetedmain.com, we have all the tape dates coming up, who's hosting, etc. And then we'll be doing every Monday in October, different locations. So we hope to see you there. Have a great Monday, you guys. And I just want to make sure there were no more questions. Oh, there were some questions. Okay, one last question from Kyra, and then I'm gonna go. What is the difference of this tape versus traditional ones? What's the point of difference? The biggest difference, I will say, just like as it's been out there, is that you don't get that shiny band of, the tape that we've all seen it, where it's like, oh, I can see that girl's tape from across the restaurant, because And there's a bunch of different little tapes and they're all over the place. And when it comes time to remove it, your nails have gunk all over it and the tape is like super gunky when you remove it. The removal process is forever. And like a lot of their hair comes out because there's so much residue on there and it grows out all uneven. And you're seeing all these little pieces of tape all over. And then when they put it in a ponytail, it looks crazy because one little shiny piece is dangling down. There's none of that with this. This is like one seamless piece that's been installed like hand tied. So you get that, like you can put it in a high ponytail. It sits super flat. You get that curtain like effect of hand tied hair. You also don't have a shiny ridge, but it's reusable. It's super strong. You can color this, you can tone it, and you can cut this wherever you want it. So if you don't want to do one big weft install, like a hand tied, that's sandwiched to get that like dimensional piece. You can also use this for face framing pieces. We've had a lot of stylists just use it to make like a bang, or they've done it for like more color. Or we had Danielle Priano with her daughter who has like really dark hair like mine. She wanted some highlights for the summer. So she put in, you know, some face framing pieces and one big row in the back to kind of offer that. It's way more dense than a lot of other tape because it's like this hybrid construction. But my favorite part is that we really elevated the removal process. And we worked with an amazing tape manufacturer. Sorry. I'm like, I'm back. Who helped us develop a really elegant, super, like you must use this remover on this hair. It releases your client's hair immediately with not dripping everywhere. There's no residue. It doesn't smell. It's really amazing. It doesn't have to go anywhere. And then we have these microfiber towels that are Velcro backed. So you can just kind of like pop it on there. And this way, any other remover is really only going to get concentrated on here. So we elevated a lot of the little parts of it too, so that the whole process is more where we are. It's more the future. We know better. Like there was a reason why for 5 years we only did hand tied and coveted tape. I coveted weft. I didn't love tape. Just thought that they were not a great experience. And I think this really solves all of the problems and all the reservations. And like as a brand, we didn't really have anything to gain. We really wanted to work more with celebrity stylists, and they love this because they can put it on their client who's on a press tour, but when they need to take it out, it comes out like that. So I think it's great for people with weddings coming up or events, or just your clients who are never going to do hand tied or have a sensitive scalp. It brings new people into the experience, and that's really what I'm excited for. But they get that same amazing result that I think Coveted Maine has been known for hand tied has been known for. There's no compromise. So I hope that was like a really long thing. And I want to respect your guys' Monday. So I'm so thankful for all of you guys who joined. This is super fun. And if you ever have questions, reach out to our team. You're a part of an amazing, intimate brand. We're here to support you. We have some really great resources, and we'll see you soon. Bye.